we've got something similar to an ERD diagram. You guys could actually start making money selling your apps that you build with Power Apps. This is exciting. This is cool. Hi guys, does this screen look familiar to you? Well, if you do Power Apps, it should look very familiar. Now, whether you've played around with this Copilot AI feature or not, I'd like to share something new with you, which is there's this new data experience. Now, if you have used this, you'll notice that it can only generate a one table type of an application for you. Very simple, very basic, and really I'd only recommend that for beginner level users. But now we have this new data experience. And let's say in here that we wanted to create an application that has multiple tables. Almost every app should have multiple tables. So you try to put everything on one table, you're going to have a bad time. And you're probably going to end up later on in your project having a little bit of a disaster as you realize that you've got all kinds of delegation problems and data integrity issues and everything. So that's one of the things I always recommend in my videos is how to properly design a database. But I've got some exciting news here. If you notice, once you turn this on, it will actually it can handle and will build you a multi-table, multi-screen application now once you turn this feature on. Let's try something out here. What if we were to build an app for a car dealership? I need an app that will manage all my business data for my car dealership business. So I'll say cars, customers, salespeople. I might say employees. Now, I don't want to make it too complex here because this is a new feature, right? And features, no matter if Microsoft's building it or not, features get much more developed over time, right? So I don't want to give it something too complicated, but let's see what it comes up with here. So, and sales, okay? So I would imagine, you got cars, you got customers, employees, and what I'm most interested in are salespeople, and issuing commissions and things of that nature. This would be enough for me to see what's possible here. Okay, so I'm going to hit send or go. Good data makes great apps. Well, that is very true. Double check the tables and relationships created based on your prompt. Okay, I'm going to click got it, and let's see what it comes up with here. So look at what it created for us. We've got something similar to an ERD diagram. Now we do see the relationships between the tables. What if I were to, well, let's start off with a car. The car is probably the most basic, and the employee is pretty basic as well. So let's look at nope, I don't want to delete it. Let's go to the properties here. Okay. Now those are properties of the table. Now if I click on this, look at that. I selected it and we've got, 3 fields. Employee name. Now I'd probably want things to be broken down like first, last name, that type of thing. Okay. So let's make some changes here that I know I would absolutely want in a table for employees. Okay. For the employee table, break out their their name into first and last names. Position is good. What's funny is I don't see a salesperson in here, but you think about it, mechanic, yeah, a large dealership, you're going to have a service center, so you're going to need mechanics, a finance officer. Okay, that's good. And what I do like that it didn't create this as a choice column. I really, really dislike choice columns. I think they're bad. They're bad for your health and your app's health as well, because they should be separate database tables. Okay. Instead of employee ID, let's make the let's do one thing at a time. I'm going to cut that, hit send. This is fun. This is an exciting new feature. Okay, so the employee name column and employee table has been split into first and last name. Okay, I don't see that though. So I'm going to close that up and I'm going to click on it again and let's see what happens here. Maybe double click. Nope. Let's click on click on view data. There we go. And it did not do that. So what I'm going to say here, hey, it doesn't look like it. Are you sure? Because you see it's employee name, didn't bring it up. I'm not able to help with the request. Okay. What if we add a first name column to the employee table? Let's do one thing at a time here. Try to make it a little bit more simple. It's working on it. Okay, I just saw things moving around here. So we got to, okay, here's the first name. Add a new column for last name. Okay, looks like it did that. Now, you may not think so if you don't see last name here. Guys, you know the little mouse wheel, hopefully you have on your mouse. If you hold down Shift and use that mouse wheel, you can actually move the scroll bar from side to side. You see there's a last name. So we have Alice Johnson. Okay, so all these things line up there. Okay, so now what we can do is say remove employee name now. Very good, it's done that. Take out the employee ID and make the primary column to be just name. And make its type to be, well, it's already a single line of text, so maybe I don't have to specify that. Guys, Dataverse tables, typically the default primary column is typically name. That's the default. And I always leave it alone. Just like in a SharePoint list, you create a SharePoint list, it's going to create a title, right? Single line of text. I never mess with that. I always leave it be. So I know all of my database tables will have a name. If I'm using SharePoint, they'll all have title. Okay, so I stick with that. Now, if I'm going to have a drop-down list of my employees, I need a field that's got both the first and last name. Well, that's what I would use the name for. So if in any given database table, you don't know what to put in the name for Dataverse, or let's say SharePoint, you got the title, you're not sure what to put in there, ask yourself if that table you'd want to put into a drop-down list, what's the text that you want to have displayed there? And that's what you put in there, okay? The data that will go in there will be the employee's full name. Okay, now it says that it's done it. I don't see it though. So if I go in here, okay, look at that. It made the primary column to be position. No. Okay, let's add in a new column called name. You got to watch over this AI. Otherwise, it'll get away from you and do some weird things. All right. So name column has been added to the employee table. Okay. There it is. And it's putting the full name in there. Okay. make the name column to be now it's not the primary key, it's the primary, what Dataverse calls a primary column. Okay. Every Dataverse database table has a primary key. It's unique. It's a GUID. It's a unique identifier, and it generates the value for it. Okay. What's the name of that field? Well, it will be the exact same name of the table itself. So here in this employee table, once it fully generates it, there will be an employee column that will have a GUID in it, a globally unique identifier, or the data type is called unique identifier. But so we don't have to worry about a primary key. We just want to specify the primary column, which is what's used for drop-down lists. Okay, very good. Now this is probably good enough for me. For the employees, I might want to add in email address field. I before E, except after C. Okay, I spelled that right. All right, I'm going to use my shift key on my keyboard to scroll around. That looks great. Okay, we can always add to this later, but this gets us in a good starting point. Okay, so now I'll get rid of employee. Let's do the same thing with cars. Okay, add a name field to the car table. Okay, I find this a little funny. Put people's names in here. Okay, so we have car make, model. Okay, so rename car make to just make. And we'll do the same thing with the model. So we need year, make, model, and then color. Okay, now I'm going to rename car model to just model. Okay, so what it says here, car model has been renamed to model. Look over here, it has not. So I'm thinking to myself, can we just go in here and say model? That would be great, right? So that's going to be a better way of doing this. All right, so I'm going to hit update on that. Let's see what else we can rename here. We need year. Now we might want to make that an integer number. Where did that go? It all disappeared on me. Nope, I don't want a row. I want a column. Here. Number. A whole number. Sounds great. Format. No, I don't want any format for that. I'm going to hit save. And let's see if it gives us some sample data in here. It does not. Please provide sample data for the year column. Okay, so I'm going to have to say car table. Okay. Please add sample data for the year column in the car table. You ever been in school and and when I say school, I mean like when you were a child and you asked a question to the teacher and said, blah, blah. And the teacher's like, can you say it with a complete sentence? I feel like that's what you have to do with AI sometimes in this context. Okay, it can't handle that, and it's fine. What do we have? Like five records here. Let's just say 2020. Gotta click in there a few times. So we can insert our own. We could also use Makaru.com to generate 10,000 test records if we want, right? So for the name, we have a year, make, model. I'm almost going to need to, yeah, I'll make all these 2020 or 2024. Maybe this one, 3, 2, 1. There we go. Okay. For the name column in the car table, put in the values from year, make, and model. And hopefully it doesn't try to do a calculated. And you might think that's smart, but I want to use this column as the name, as the primary column. Data validation errors were found. Okay, really didn't help us out there, did it? Okay, this is what I can do. 2020 Toyota Camry. Okay, and I could write a little bit of code in Power Apps that would, fill all that out really quick, or we can import it again from Makaru with that data already in there. But what I want to do is I want to make the name field in the car table the primary column. It's interesting here in this what's called an ERD diagram. It says it needs attention. Okay, so that's okay. So now I can get rid of this car ID. Don't need that. You know what we could do? Add a then column. That would be good data to hold for a car. And I hope that it generates good then information. It didn't, but we'll fix that later on. And I want to delete that empty row. I don't need that. Delete rows. Delete. Okay. Now we're doing well here. Okay. So what about customers? Same type of thing. We need a column. First name. Now, typically, I don't like spaces in column names, but with Dataverse, it's actually a recommended practice because you never know. You could be creating a model-driven application, and this display name would be important if you had a space in there. But I'm just going to go along with this, and we'll say first name. We'll add in a last name. Let's add in name there. You know what I want to do? I'll just rename this, if I can, to be just name. Yeah, they'll help us out. We got their phone number. Let's add in their email address. I'm just going to call it email. and make the name column to be the primary column. Once it does that, we can delete that customer ID. Okay, there we go. Ooh. I wonder, edit this column. Let's see here. Will it allow me to delete it? Because it's, well, the red star means it's required. Okay, we're going to be good there. What are the types of information? Well, we got their name, their phone number, their email address. You know, uh, if they need financing, you might want to gather what their credit score number is. Maybe, I don't know. But I think this is starting out. This is going to be good. All right, so we've done those three. Let's go look at sale. Okay, now this one's fairly important because we're going to have the customer ID. Okay, well, I don't want that to be called customer ID. I want it to be called customer lookup, which is what I do with columns in Dataverse when they're lookup columns are a good thing in Dataverse, not so much a good thing in SharePoint. But I always like to put in the field name some way of knowing that it's a lookup type of a column. For me, it just makes it a little less confusing when you're writing code inside of Power Apps. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do there. And I'd like to change. You see where it has, there we go. Let's delete that. The John Doe, Jane Wright. Let's delete that. So you see, we made the name the primary, and we could do things like this. So I don't like customer 4. Like, what does that mean? Customer number 4. That doesn't really mean anything unless you go look it up and say, oh, that's Jane Doe or Emily Johnson. So Emily Johnson is a very good customer. She's purchased 2 cars. David Brown. And I think that's good for now. Now we've got employee ID. Well, now what I'm going to say is salesperson. Oh, look up. Okay. And again, here, we shouldn't have that. We should have, let me make sure this is looking at the right table. Yeah, it's the employee table. Okay. Yeah, that's going to be fine. It just looks like the same. Maybe it's not the same people. Okay, very good. And I'm going to leave these. I want to see how it handles that. Okay. Date of sale. Date and time. Car ID. No, I don't want to call it car ID. I want to call it car lookup. Okay. And again, these should give us a full name there. And then what I'm going to do is I want to add a name, single line of text. Okay. Make the name column in the sale table to be the primary column. Okay, there's name. Okay, and what we'll put in name is probably the customer name and also the date of the sale, or the date of the sale and then the customer name, and then that might work out. And so we did make it the default. And I want to remove this sale ID. Okay, I'm feeling pretty good about this. I didn't want to make it to be that big of an app, but I wanted to test this out, show you what happens if you were to use this new feature. I think it's exciting. So I am ready to save and open the app. Uh-oh. This action will save the tables, relationships created, and will open the app in the studio. Of course. All right. I paused the video while it was sitting there spinning for a few minutes. And it looks like it's loading up now. The suspense is killing me. Hey, look at that. Let's take a look at that. Now I'm going to get rid of this Copilot window. If you want the Copilot to come back, you just click on that little icon at the top. And we have, okay, this is a little confusing to me. We have a welcome screen, and it looks like it would be like a home screen, right? Then we have customers up here. We have employees there, cars, and a sales screen. The welcome screen, I would sort of want that to be at the very top. And I'm also curious, did this app generator, if I go to app start screen, it is set up as the welcome screen. Okay, that's good. Now, I'm going to go ahead and save this. And whoops, nope, I don't want that. Let's say we'll call this car dealership app. We'll save that. You know what I'll do, guys, is there should be a link in the video description on how to join my free online community over in school. That's SKOOL.com. You could go there and type in Power Apps and you'll find it. However, I'll post this MS. Actually, I'll probably create a solution file and upload a solution file. So if you wanted this specific app without going through all those steps, you can get a copy of it. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and run this, and let's go over to cars and let's look at this. So here's our 4 cars. Very good. Now, how do I go back? Well, there's a home. So I'm going to click on home. There's our employees. Click on home. There's our customers. And let's say, okay, I want to buy a car. All right. I'm going to click on new. And of course, the primary column is going to be required. So this does use forms. It is responsive. Okay, so let's see how responsive it is. Let's say we're using an iPad here. And then as we're using it, we flip it. Okay, I can go back home. Look at this. It's all responsive. How cool is that? Now, what does it look like on a mobile phone? Okay. This is pretty neat. Canvas size, window size. Okay. All right, so hopefully you guys like that. Now, I've got a special surprise for you guys that have stayed around to the end of this. Are you ready? I am holding a workshop today. Okay. Today is July 12th of 27. And if you're watching this and it's not this date, no worries. It will all be recorded. So I'm doing a whole workshop on this today at 1 p.m. EST. Okay. And what I want you guys to do is come with an idea for an app and think about all the things that you need to manage in your app. And we'll go over, if you have any questions, we can go over your requirements. And I want you guys to step through and create an app with me. Now, I've got another app idea, and that is to rebuild the Northwind Traders application. I think that would be fun. So probably what I'll do, you guys are already familiar with this one. So I'm going to build a Northwind Traders application with this. And I want you guys to, the whole purpose of a workshop is for you guys to have some practical activity, for you to actually step through the steps yourself. That's really how we learn. You don't learn by listening to Darren talk, right? You have to put this to work. And I've gotten a lot of good feedback from the workshops, and I think it's because of that. And if anybody gets stuck on a spot, you raise your hand or you put in a question, and we stop and we make sure that nobody's left behind. And so that's what we're going to be doing today. So come with an idea for an app that you want to build for the workshop. And we'll be building it out together. And the workshops, they at least go for 3 hours, but typically we take a full 4 hours, and we do have a 15-minute break in the middle. So we'll start at 1 p.m. EST, and after 2 hours, we'll have a 15-minute break, and then we'll probably go for another 2 hours. And then, who knows, maybe we'll do a little bit of a follow-up tomorrow on our Saturday morning live stream. So there might be a live stream that's associated with this. I want to show you the school community. If you guys aren't in it, join. It's free. You get my crash course for free. So if you go over here to the classroom, it's right here, the crash course. There's actually some really good modules in here. So the 10 things that you must know. So those are the 10 things that took me a while to learn with Power Apps. So I put that in there, but there's also this module called Build an App in a Day. And I show you how to build a ticketing system from scratch, not my really big ticketing system. But this one is something that you could do within an afternoon, within like one sitting. You could build out your ticketing system, right? So you can access that for free once you join the community. And then, so last week I had this thread pinned here. Okay. So last Friday we had a workshop on building an org chart and dealing with profile information. And that was a fairly popular workshop. And just to let you know on the pricing for the workshops, it's not $25 per workshop, it's $25 a month. And then you get access to all the workshops, including the live ones. Okay. So I've tried to make it very affordable so that almost anybody could afford it. And okay, so let me show you there. So if you sign up, you click on this link here. Now I have this independent weekend special offer, and that link, although last week, July 4th weekend, that's gone, but I might actually open that back up so people can access it this weekend. So if you're interested in that, check that out. And then down here for the workshops, I call them tech workshops, but you notice I use a Power Platform icon for that. So you'll get access to all the other workshops. We'll take a look at these workshops. So the very first one was a decision tree. We did a pay time off app. The third one was about approval workflows, designing your database. That was a good one on that. Here's one on the basics. So if you still feel like a beginner, this is a whole workshop on the basics. We had one on complex patching, designing dashboards. We had one where we put in some features that we would want in all of our apps. There was a whole workshop on that. We did one on app formulas. And I started creating each workshop as a separate course here within the school environment. And then I thought to myself, well, I do a workshop almost every week. So what I did was I probably need to create one for, in a year's time, I've got probably like 50 workshops, and this thing would just be too long. So, these will all be moved, for the 2024, they'll all be here. So, I mean, if you look at, I wanted to show you guys all the different ones. So, all of them are listed here. So we'll have a number 19. I should probably, I'll add that after this video. So where we left off was, yeah, the basics, collections, freelancing, UI design, complex patching, dashboards, template features, the app formulas. So if you got a bunch of code in your app on start, you want to be moving that code over to the app formulas. And that was a whole workshop based on that. Just realize formulas, you can't put any imperative code in there like you could with the app on start. So that's something that we go over in that workshop. Mastering color. So we talked about creating color themes and all kinds of good stuff in there. Modernizing your app. So if you have an old app that's old and crusty and uses app on start, or if it uses things that need to be upgraded to account for the new features of Power Apps, that's what we went through on there. We have one on delegation. Okay. We did one on a sports fantasy app, and the last week was the org chart. And today's will be about this new feature, building an app with AI. And also what we'll be doing in the workshop is after it's generated, now what? Well, you probably want to tweak it, make it better, right? All right, so over here in Power Apps, this is the generated app. Well, let's say we might need to switch up the colors. It'd probably be a good idea to put some images in here, like for customers and employees. We put pictures of people, maybe the customer would be a single person, and then employees might be 3 people. You might have a 3-person staff. Have a picture of a car there, and sales, I don't know, a dollar sign. So I'm just like thinking of things out loud here, but I want to modify this to the point where it doesn't look like a boilerplate app that was generated for me. Okay. And also on the sales, I mean, it's not really showing me any pertinent information. We've got a text box here that looks at what field name. Well, right now there's nothing in there. So what we'll do is we'll go in and make this much more functional, usable, and we'll also be looking at Macaru to generate good test data for these apps that we build. So this is something that we will be using in the workshop, Macaru. And what can we do here? Let's go in and let's delete all this stuff. Okay, let's say we want 10,000 records of car data. So we've got an ID here. I don't even know if I want an ID there. Let's take that out. Let's add another field. And what you want to do is go over to this. Okay, look at this. Car. Make, model, year, VIN. Yeah, make. Model, year, VIN. Let's add one for our name column. Model, year, VIN. And what I want to do here, let's see if we have any type of calculated column. But look, for people type of database tables, like a customer or an employee, address line 1, address line 2. Look, a random avatar image URL from RoboHash. That sounds cool. What about a Boolean? That would be sold, if the car is sold or not. We may only have 1,000 cars out on our lot, but we've been in business for several years. So we might actually have 10,000 records in here, where most of them have been set to sold. So you create all the fields. I just love this tool. And then what you do is you generate data, and it's going to give you a CSV file. And we'll go over how to import that and how to get all that into Dataverse. And so it's exciting. So within 4 hours, you're going to be building a usable application that looks nice. And you know what? Create a nice generic app that could be used in an industry like this. And then go out, start with small dealerships. Like if this was your idea, you could steal my idea. Go to do a Google map search for car dealerships and find the ones that the lot's like really small. Maybe they only have 20 cars or 10 cars on the lot. And you go there and you're like, hey, what do you guys use to manage all of your data? And chances are they're going to say, oh, we got a spreadsheet, or oh, we have a notebook and we write everything down. You say, hey, if you pay me $100 a month, I'll allow you to use this app, and I will make sure all the data is in the cloud and safe and everything. And you guys can actually start making money selling your apps that you build with Power Apps. This is exciting. This is cool.